Good afternoon. This is Mary Miller for Seatuck Environmental Association. It's Thursday afternoon, so that means it's story time. Our book today is about a different season. It's about the winter season, and right now we are just at the edge. We're finishing up spring and getting started with summer. And the story takes place at night. In the winter, so it's a little bit different from many winter stories that we read, and it's about looking for a certain kind of animal, which can be done at different times of the year. Some other things that can happen at night, different times of the year, is stargazing. You can take out a blanket, lay it down on the ground, lay on the blanket, and look at constellations, the pictures in the sky, look at satellites going by, watch for the International Space Station orbiting the Earth, and certainly planets. I have found that using some apps for sky watching are really great to use, especially for figuring out which planet is which, and that's pretty exciting. So some of the other things that happen this time of year at night, certain animals can be observed. With the horseshoe crabs, for example, have been coming out of the water at the high tide marks in the evening to lay their eggs in holes that they dig in the sand at the beaches. And then a few weeks later, when the high tide water gets back up as high as where the eggs are laid, those little critters are heading into the water for the first time. So that's a springtime, nighttime activity. Another thing that I've been catching online is people who are watching moths at night, putting up a white sheet and shining a light, and then checking it, in the evening after it gets dark, and seeing what kind of moths they can observe. So it's a fun summertime evening activity. But like I said, our book is about winter, so we'll get started right now. Hang on a minute, I'll flip the camera. Okay, so our book is called Owl Moon, and maybe you've heard of it. It was a Caldecott. There's the symbol, a Caldecott Award winner. The book was written in 1987, and the author is Jane Yolen, and the pictures were by John Schoenherr. So they call that illustrated, the person who illustrated the book. And as you can see, it's really quite a beautiful cover, and the pictures in the book don't disappoint either. So let's get started. The Owl Moon. So here we go. I'll let you take a look at this while I read. So we can see some people in that picture. Take a look, and there's some shadows on the snow. It was late one winter night, long past my bedtime, when Pa and I went owling. There was no wind, the trees stood still as giant statues, and the moon was so bright the sky seemed to shine. Somewhere behind us, a train whistle blew, long and low, like a sad, sad song. Yeah, I love going out. I mean, there's actually a song called Moon Shadow, and when there is a full moon and you go outside, you see your shadow, a moon shadow. Okay, so here he is with Pa. I could hear it through the woolen cap Pa had pulled down over my ears. A farm dog answered the train, and then a second dog joined in. They sang out, trains and dogs, for a real long time. And when their voices faded away, it was as quiet as a dream. We walked on toward the woods, Pa and I. So here they are. Look where they're headed. Into the woods. So take a look. What do you see in the snow? Yeah, it's their tracks in the snow. Let's follow so we can find them. Did you ever do that? Try to find somebody or something by following their tracks? Oh, there they are, Pa and his child. Okay, our feet crunched over the crisp snow, and little gray footprints followed us. Pa made a long shadow, but mine was short and round. Ooh, Pa's shadow is very long. I had to really pull back a lot to get the whole image. The shadow is behind them, so the moon must be in front of them, making the shadows. Here's his shadow and his dad's long, long shadow. I had to run after him every now and then to keep up on my short, round my short, round shadow bumped after me. But I never called out, if you go owling, you have to be quiet. That's what Pa always says. I had been waiting to go out owling with Pa for a long, long time. It's funny, it's kind of like talking about it like it's a sport. Owl and ing. So they're saying that they're doing something that has a name. They're going out looking for owls, owling. We reached the line of pine trees, black and pointy against the sky, and Pa held up his hand. I stopped right where I was and waited. He looked up, as if searching the stars, as if reading a map up there. The moon made his face into a silver mask. Yeah, you can see his face. There's like a lot of light on Pa's face from the moonlight. The moon made his face into a silver mask. Then he called, woo-hoo, 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 the sound of a great horned owl. Woo-hoo, woo-hoo, woo. Some people actually learn how to do different owl calls. That's something that you can listen to on the computer and practice, and you can learn the owl call just like Pa. Okay, here they are. Oh, they're looking up. They're down on the ground, and they're looking up in a tree. And let's take a look here. There's something. What do you think that is? Something in the hole of the tree. Does that look like an owl? I think it looks like, what do you think? I think it looks like a raccoon. Again, he called out, and then again, after each call, he was silent. And for a moment, we both listened, but there was no answer. Pa shrugged, and I shrugged. I was not disappointed. My brothers all said, sometimes there's an owl, sometimes there isn't. So, we can go looking and giving things a try. It's not always going to work, but we could try again. There they are, walking through the woods in the snow. We walked on. I could feel the cold, as if someone's icy hand was palmed down on my back. And my nose and the tops of my cheeks felt cold and hot at the same time. But I never said a word. If you go owling, you have to be quiet and make your own heat. Okay, here they are. We went into the woods. The shadows were the blackest things I had ever seen. They stained the white snow. My mouth felt furry, for the scarf over it was wet and warm. I didn't ask what kinds of things hide behind black trees in the middle of the night. When you go owling, you have to be brave. So here's they're walking into the woods again. The trees have snow on them. It really is beautiful. The good thing it's a full moon night. Some nights there's really very little moonlight. It changes throughout every month to very little moonlight to a lot of moonlight. So you want to pick, for stargazing, you want to pick nights that have very little moonlight. And on owling, it could be helpful to see if you have a full moon, lots of moonlight. Then we came to a clearing in the dark woods. The moon was high above us. It seemed to fit exactly over the center of the clearing, and the snow below it was whiter than the milk in a cereal bowl. And here's what he's looking at. What do you think? Whiter than the milk in a cereal bowl. That's how he described it. So even if you didn't see the picture, you might have an idea because he described it so well. Whiter than the milk in a cereal bowl. Oh, what do you think Dad's doing now? What do you think? Or he calls him Pa. I call my dad Dad. So he calls him Pa. Let's see, what do you think he's doing now? Oh, what are they both doing? I sighed, and Pa held up his hand at the sound. I put my mittens over the scarf over my mouth and listened hard. And then Pa called, hoo, 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 hoo. I listened and looked so hard my ears hurt. Looked so hard that my ears hurt and my eyes got cloudy with the cold. Pa raised his face to call out again, but before he could open his mouth, an echo came threading its way through the trees. And this is what it sounded like. Hoo, 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 hoo. What was that? What made that sound? They're looking. They look kind of surprised. Ooh, what just made that sound? Pa almost smiled. Then he called back, hoo, 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 just as if he and the owl were talking about supper or in the woods or the moon or the cold. I took my mitten off the scarf, off my mouth, and I almost smiled too. What do you think they're going to see? They heard something. Oh, I think I see it. Do you see? It's not sitting on the branch. It's actually flying. Can you see up here? There's the body of the owl, and one wing is here, a little behind a tree, and the other wing is there. And they're pretty far away, Pa and his child. There they are. They look so small. They're way down here, and the owl is way up high. Let me keep that big picture for you. The owl's call came closer from high up in the trees on the edge of the meadow. Nothing in the meadow moved. All of a sudden, an owl's shadow, part of the big tree shadow, lifted off and flew right over us. We watched silently with heat in our mouths, and the heat of all those words we had not spoken. The shadow hooted again. Yeah, that's the sound that people say the owl hoots. So they said he hooted again. He made his sound, his call. Oh, and now we can see the close-up picture of the owl landing on a branch up high, and looking down on the ground, we can see Pa and his child. And see the talons, the bird's feet. Those talons are good for grabbing little mice for his food and for landing on the branch. Pa turned on his big flashlight and caught the owl just as it was landing on a branch. So the light, he was able to get the light right on the owl so they could see him. Oh, and now we really get a look. All those beautiful feathers and the horns. When we say great horned owl, these feathers look like horns. That's why he's called that. And he's got those big eyes that are good for seeing at night. And usually the females are bigger than the males when you're talking about owls. And there's his tail down below the branch, and you can see his talons on the branch holding on. For 1 minute, 3 minutes, maybe even 100 minutes, we stared at one another. Did you ever do a staring contest? They're fun. Let's see. Oh, he decided, what is he doing? He decided to take off again. And they are standing down below, and you can see Pa with his flashlight. He's holding the flashlight, trying to keep an eye on the owl. Then the owl pumped its great wings and lifted off the branch like a shadow without sound. It flew back into the forest. "Time to go home," Pa said to me. I knew then I could talk. I could even laugh out loud. but I was a shadow as we walked home. So they accomplished their goal. They found what they wanted to find. They were patient and quiet, and the owl did appear. When you go owling, you don't need words or warm or anything but hope that flies on silent wings under a shining owl moon. Beautiful. And there they are. And now they can talk about what they have just seen and maybe plan to do it again. And maybe in the warmer weather, they'll go out and they'll try to find moths that are out at night. Maybe they'll go to a beach and see horseshoe crabs laying their eggs. So the nighttime does offer some fun things, and any time of year, you can go out and look at the sky and see what you can see. So that was our book, Owl Moon, and thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed our book this week, and we'll see you next time. This is Mary Miller signing off for Seatuck Environmental Association. Thank you. Bye-bye.